Your value isn't determined by other people's choices. This is a truth that's simple in concept, but often hard to embrace in our everyday lives. Too many times we tie our worth to what others think of us, to whether they choose us, accept us, or recognize us. But the reality is your value doesn't fluctuate based on someone else's opinion. You have intrinsic worth, a unique purpose, and a light that no one can take from you unless you let them. When you let others' choices dictate how you see yourself, you're giving them power that doesn't belong to them. Your value is not up for negotiation. It's not something that can be measured or diminished by anyone's opinion, and it certainly isn't based on whether someone chooses you or not. Your value is inherent. It's there simply because you exist, and it doesn't depend on anyone's validation. Now, you might wonder why we get so caught up in seeking validation from others. It's human nature to want to be accepted and valued by those around us, especially by the people we care about or look up to. But the danger lies in letting that desire for acceptance become the foundation of our self-worth. When you depend on others to affirm your value, you're standing on shaky ground. People's opinions are ever-changing, based on their own moods, perceptions, and experiences, many of which have nothing to do with you. So why place something as precious as your self-worth in the hands of something so unstable? Your value should be rooted in something far more solid than the shifting views of others. It should be rooted in who you are, in your character, your kindness, your strength, and your commitment to growth. Think about it this way: if you measure yourself by someone else's standards, you're always going to come up short. You're always going to be at the mercy of their judgments. And you'll always be chasing an elusive form of validation that may never come. This can lead to a cycle of self-doubt and insecurity, constantly wondering if you're enough. But here's the truth: you are enough. You were enough before anyone had an opinion about you, and you'll be enough long after. There's a profound freedom that comes from realizing your worth doesn't depend on anyone's choices or approval. It allows you to show up authentically, to pursue your dreams with confidence, and to live a life that's true to who you are, not a life spent trying to fit someone else's expectations. Imagine a scenario where you're constantly seeking someone else's approval, trying to prove yourself so they'll choose you. It's exhausting, isn't it? It drains your energy and clouds your vision. But when you understand your value, you stop chasing validation. You stop bending over backward to make people like you or want you, because you realize that the right people, the right opportunities will come naturally to you. People who truly see your worth don't need convincing, they recognize it immediately. And when you know your worth, you start attracting people and situations that align with that understanding. You stop feeling the need to fit into boxes that others create, because you've already defined who you are and what you bring to the table. When you let other people's choices dictate your self-worth, you're also putting a limit on your potential. You're holding yourself back from fully expressing who you are. Think about it: if you're constantly adjusting yourself to please others, to be what you think they want, you're not living in your own truth. You're sacrificing your uniqueness, your authenticity for approval. And when you do that, you're denying the world the gift of you. You have something unique to offer, something no one else can bring. But to fully realize that, you have to let go of the need for everyone to choose you. You have to be willing to stand alone, if necessary, in the confidence that you're enough. Letting go of the need for others to choose you also opens the door to true connection. When you're not trying to fit someone else's mold, you attract people who appreciate you for who you really are, not for the version you think they want. These are the people who will value you genuinely, who will support you without hidden motives, and who will celebrate your growth without jealousy or resentment. Relationships built on genuine appreciation are the ones that nourish you, uplift you, and allow you to grow into the best version of yourself. But you'll never find these connections if you're constantly adjusting yourself to be chosen by people who don't see your worth in the first place. One of the most powerful things you can do for yourself is to learn to choose yourself. When you choose yourself, you send a message to the world that you know your value, and you're not going to compromise it. Choosing yourself doesn't mean you don't care about others. It means you're not going to sacrifice your self-respect, your dreams, or your peace to fit into someone else's expectations. It means you're willing to walk alone if necessary, to stand firm in your principles and values, and to live authentically, regardless of who chooses to walk beside you. Choosing yourself is the ultimate act of self-love and empowerment. It's a commitment to honor your own worth, no matter what anyone else thinks. It's not always easy to embrace your value independently of others' choices. There will be moments of doubt, moments when you wish for validation from those around you. But in those moments, remember that your worth isn't dependent on someone else's recognition. It's built on the love and respect you have for yourself. It's a value that's unshakable, grounded in the knowledge that you are enough, just as you are. And as you move forward in life, you'll realize that the more you stand firm in your worth, the more others begin to see it too. When you radiate self-respect and confidence, the world takes notice. People start treating you in alignment with the value you carry within yourself. So don't wait around for someone to choose you. Don't let anyone's opinion or decision make you question your value. Stand tall, knowing that you have worth that no one can take away. The right people, the ones who truly appreciate you, will see your value without you needing to prove it. And the opportunities meant for you will align with who you are, not who you think you need to be for someone else. Embrace your worth, choose yourself, and watch as life begins to reflect the confidence and respect you carry. Remember, your value isn't determined by anyone else. It's determined by you, by the love, respect, and dignity you bring to every single day. Don't beg for love, respect, or attention. These are things that should come freely from those who truly value you. When we find ourselves constantly striving to be seen, to be acknowledged, or to be appreciated, we're giving up something essential: our self-worth. Love, respect, and attention aren't things that can be forced, and trying to pull them from people who aren't willing to give them only leads to frustration and disappointment. If someone truly cares for you, if they respect you, that recognition will come naturally. You shouldn't have to plead for someone's time or struggle to prove your worthiness. Those who genuinely appreciate you will see your value and reciprocate those things willingly. The moment you start begging for love, you're stepping onto a slippery slope. You become someone who's dependent on others for validation, who's constantly seeking approval, and who feels incomplete without it. That's a dangerous place to be, because when you tie your self-worth to someone else's attention or affection, you're placing your happiness in their hands. If they withdraw that attention, you're left feeling empty and insecure. Love that you have to beg for isn't true love. It's a fragile illusion that can crumble at any moment. True love, true respect isn't conditional or selective. It's consistent, reliable, and doesn't need to be earned through desperation or sacrifice. Respect works the same way. When you beg for respect, you're implying that your value is up for debate. You're telling others that it's acceptable for them to treat you in ways that don't honor your worth, as long as they give you some attention in return. But respect isn't something you should have to fight for. It's something that's earned through integrity, kindness, and strength. Those who truly respect you will do so without you needing to demand it. They'll show it in the way they listen to you, in the way they treat you, and in the way they honor your boundaries. Real respect comes naturally when others see that you respect yourself. When it comes to attention, it's easy to fall into the trap of seeking it from anyone who offers it, even if it's temporary or shallow. We live in a world where attention is often confused with affection, and where fleeting validation is mistaken for true connection. But attention isn't the same as love, and it certainly isn't the same as respect. Someone's attention might make you feel seen in the moment, but if it's not rooted in genuine care or respect, it's empty. Attention fades quickly, and when it does, you're searching for the next source of validation. Instead of seeking attention from others, focus on cultivating a sense of self-worth that doesn't rely on anyone else's gaze. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that not everyone is capable of giving you the love, respect, or attention you deserve. Some people simply don't have the capacity to care for others in a meaningful way. They may offer surface-level affection, but they're not willing to go deeper. Trying to pull love, respect, or attention from these people is like trying to draw water from an empty well. It only leaves you feeling more depleted and unfulfilled. When you find yourself in a situation where you're constantly seeking these things from someone who doesn't reciprocate, take a step back. Remind yourself that it's not a reflection of your worth. It's simply a sign that this person may not be capable of meeting you where you are. Begging for love, respect, or attention also creates an imbalance in relationships. It leads to a dynamic where one person is always giving, compromising, and bending while the other person takes. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, understanding, and appreciation. When you're constantly pushing for validation, you're actually reinforcing a pattern where your needs are secondary. This can create a sense of resentment and frustration over time. As you begin to realize that your efforts aren't being matched, by stepping away from this pattern and choosing not to beg, you give yourself the chance to find relationships that are balanced, where both parties value and appreciate each other equally. Learning not to beg for love, respect, or attention requires you to cultivate a deep sense of self-worth. It's about understanding that you are whole and complete on your own, and that your value isn't determined by how others perceive you. This doesn't mean you don't care about relationships or connections, but it does